This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
This is Dr. Saifa Kajani from the Tri Channel, and you're listening to the Coarse Grind Podcast with your host, Sean Rossler.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Coarse Grind Podcast, Sean Rossler. You know how we do. Episode 202. Are you kidding me? I'm really getting into the mathematical limits of where my brain operates into. But, 202 episodes with you as always, host creator. How is everyone doing this fine, beautiful day? We are back, and back once again for another shot of culinary brilliance by way of a new and exciting guest. And today it's not just about a random assignment. No. Today is about connecting a familial bond. One between sisters who are talented in and of their own rights, only just the one has been on the show before, while the other was back in Ireland making cookies. And while that may sound like a slight, making light of their contributions, I'm being serious. She makes cookies, and damn amazing ones. A former guest sister was back in Ireland making cookies, and dare I add, killing it. So, if I may, tonight's guest has always held baking as one of her greatest passions, and nothing brings her more joy than sharing her creations. The Drunken Cookie as her flagship was named is where our guest blends her love for baking with the chaos that is her life. It's a wild ride through the realm of flavors where unique combinations are discovered that'll make your taste buds dance. Oh yes, and if you've ever seen me dance, you know that's dangerous. As the brains and baker behind the Drunken Cookie, our guest is all about crafting extraordinary and unconventional treats that'll leave you begging for more, but there's way more to the story than just mouth-watering cookies, including a personal journey of recovery, as the Drunken Cookie was born in the midst of active addiction. Active recovery and embracing a healthier lifestyle is all cornerstone now to the incredible journey, and I, for one, am certainly here for it. A tribute to triumphing over challenges and savoring the sweetness of personal growth, each cookie she bakes carries with it dedication and determination to live a healthier and more fulfilling life. There's way more to the story, so let's get right down to it. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, owner and genius behind the Drunken Cookie in dear old Ireland, and the second Kajani to grace the Coarse Grind stage, Saifa Kajani. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, I am so good. Wow, that introduction was fantastic.
That's what I like to do. I like to pad it up front because it sucks from here on out, so. It's just a negative experience for everybody. I'm kidding, of course. So thank you so much for finding time in what I know is your busy schedule. And we're going to talk about that one new hobby we were talking about off mic. But for folks new to the program, folks with terrible short-term memories like yours truly, starters, mains, and afters. Starters, we talk about the backstory, the origin story, if you will, of the guest in question. Mains, we talk about where they're at, what they're doing, and why they're doing it. And finally, afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one's been seriously bodily injured in 201 episodes, so I don't see it happening today. So without further ado, Saifa, tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
Jeez, I grew up eating everything and anything. So mom's Indian, dad's Pakistani, and then I grew up in Ireland. So I ate spicy food, I ate not spicy food, I ate Asian food, I ate not Asian food, but always eating. I was a pretty chubby kid, to be honest. But like every cuisine under the sun, I was never a picky eater. I was always trying new things, 100% obsessed with food from day one, like.
That's marvelous. So, I mean, I think it's safe to say here that we don't have a picky eater. Historically, we didn't have a picky eater on our hands. You were a pretty go-for-everything kid.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And, when you think back and you've got this wonderful array of what I'm sure are culturally driven flavors, between Indian cuisine, Pakistani cuisine, and being in Ireland, and I know, Ireland wasn't always noted for their food, but now there's a culinary, infusion of talent across the board. Thinking back to childhood, all the way up to present day, today if you want, What are some dishes that really talk to your heart, that really touch your heart? Maybe even bring a pang of like a childhood memory, like, you used to have it, you don't anymore. What are some of those?
I think what really is like my go-to meal, and I just love it so much, is just a roast dinner. And like, I find it's different, it's complex, right? Because my family, obviously, having a roast dinner for them was just like, what the hell is going on? But they like implemented it kind of growing up. Like, we'd have like a roast chicken or a roast beef with the potatoes and the veggies, and it was just phenomenal. But it was only on occasion that we do it, because that was such a big thing that my parents would make something like that. So it wasn't like a every Sunday kind of thing, the way it is in Ireland for most Irish households. So I, whenever, as like an adult now, whenever I have the chance to have a roast, like I'll even go out for a roast dinner. It is like, it makes me feel so good, because there's just such a sense of comfort around it. It's so hearty, and it's just basic flavors. But when it's done well, it's fantastic. It just warms my tummy and my soul.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the epitome of comfort food, right? That's the absolute epitome. And that's awesome. And again, that kind, I think that speaks to the American version of what you would consider like the traditional Sunday dinner, right? Everyone's sitting down, everyone's around, and, does it speak to a certain social element of it then?
I guess, for me, and that kind of ties into like the addiction side, that roast dinners are usually served in pubs in Ireland, and it used to always be like my rituals that I go to a pub on a Sunday, I'd get a pint, and I'd have a roast dinner, and like, it'd be with like friends and family, or like it was a whole thing. But it was the meal that was like go-to part of it, like
that centerpiece that brought it all together.
Exactly, yeah.
So, roast dinner, that soul warming goodness. But you make the transition then to this cookie spot, and I want to talk about that. But obviously, was cooking or baking specifically something you always kind of had in the back of your mind? Did you like hang around that growing up, and that's what kind of spurred it forward?
So I loved home economics in school because of like the baking and cooking modules in it. I just found I was obsessed with it. And then in Ireland we have transition year, which is basically like a year of dossing around, doing not that much. And I had work experience, and I did work experience in a restaurant, and I hated it. I hated it so much. There was like, it was so high pressure and not like enjoyable at all. So I said, this, like, I'd never want to be a chef. But then I just kind of realized I really liked baking. I love food, but I prefer baking. And like taking my time and enjoying the process, and it being quite specific as opposed to cooking where you just throw everything into a bowl and add a bit of this, add a bit of that. Like, I liked the finesse that came with baking. And I have a sweet tooth. So then in college, I did food and business, and I was working as a pastry chef throughout my degree then. So I've always worked very closely to food.
I love it. And that detail you speak to, that admittedly is the reason why I struggle with baking. I'm definitely more of a savory human, and it's because of the total imperfection of it, right? You can play with it, and you can nudge it in a direction, and you can have it be not just so, but still, pretty spot on. Baking is literally to the like microgram, like just crazy. And I appreciate living hell out of anyone who can do it. So when was the moment then? Let's talk Drunken Cookie. Let's talk this beautiful, and the site's amazing, people. If you want to check it out, thedrunkencookie.ie. It is visually stunning. As a web designer on the side, I take notice of such things, but it's visually stunning. The product is stunning, but the question becomes, how the hell did you figure out to go in that direction? What was the lightning strike moment?
So I was working in marketing before, so I finished my my master's in business, and I I was like, okay, well, I'm never going to be a chef, and I kind of just need to put this degree to use. So I was like, right, I need to get my 9 to 5 and start working towards that kind of, adult life, than my big girl job. So it was in the middle of the pandemic, and I actually, a friend of a friend or whatever, got me into this marketing role, and that was actually in a wine company.
Oh, okay.
And I was like boozing a lot, to be honest. Like at the time, I was saying that I have to drink because it's the wine tasting and blah blah blah. And I, at that time, then broke up with my ex-boyfriend of 8 years, and I was drinking more then.
Sure.
I was drinking a lot more, and then because I was kind of upset with everything, and I have borderline personality disorder, so I don't take breakups very well. I had gone up in my antidepressants, and then going up on medication along with copious amounts of alcohol is not good for the soul. So I ended up then losing my job because I was just a disgrace in work. I was coming in hungover. I was coming in tears. Like, I would leave the office to for hours because I was just depressed and couldn't function. So then I was let go, and I was like, Jesus, I've really lost a lot here. The relationship and my relationships with friends and family as well, full stop, was just chaotic. And mental health was just at an all-time low, and I had a serious mental breakdown, which led me to hospital. And I then was talking to my brother, and he was like, Saifa, you have to have something to live for. And I was delusional at this stage, because this has been going on for about 2 months of just severe darkness. What the hell am I doing with my life kind of buzz. And he was like, you have to live for something. And I said, I've always wanted to own a cafe since I was a child. And he was like, so why don't you work towards that? I said, how on earth is he expecting me to just open a cafe? And he was like, just start somewhere. So I was just thinking about just I don't know, do something then. I was so delusional. I had just let go and let God. So I was just in this weird space of living in a dream of, okay, I'm going to go over to London for 2 days, and I'm going to eat loads of cookies. And maybe I'll bring something back. Who knows?
Okay.
So I went to London. I ate cookies for 2 days. I ate so many cookies, ridiculous amounts of cookies. And I came back to Dublin, and obviously I have the culinary experience behind me, so I took all on board what those companies had, and along with my own kind of experience, I made a cookie, and there was trial and errors, and then I invited 15 people over to come over and try these cookies, and everyone was like, yeah, cool, sign me up, free cookies, 100%. 2 people showed up on the day, and then it hit me again, and I was like, what on earth am I doing? Am I just trying to set up a cookie show here? Get a grip, Saifa, grow up. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to keep going with this. And then I just set up an Instagram page called the Drunken Cookie, because I am the Drunken Cookie. I am the drunk. Do you know what I mean? I was always known for this work hard, play hard attitude. And then I just started doing home deliveries because I got a few orders the minute that I set it up. And then word of mouth, it just got busier and busier, and people I didn't know were making orders. And then the Drunken Cookie was really born.
That is. First of all, let me backtrack just a couple of huge steps. One, as an advocate of mental and behavioral health myself, I applaud and thank you for sharing your story, because a lot of people like to hide behind a facade and not share the imperfections that we all have in one way, shape, or form. And so kudos to you for sure. Now, the feel-good side of that is that you literally went from the bottom to what it feels like to the top now. Like, and I don't think that's an overstatement or an overreach in any way, shape, or form. You know, I go on to Insta, I see, you know, stuff about the Drunken Cookie. I go out to your site. Your site's amazing, and they look incredible. So to create that out of a very dark place, good on you. Like, bravo. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's crazy though, because I remember going to people at the beginning of the company, like asking like entrepreneurs, small Irish entrepreneurs, business owners, like try these, and you know, they were like, oh, but what makes this different? And I was like, it's different. Trust me, because if you look at the branding of the Drunken Cookie is not an out there brand. So we have cookies names that are not your regular milk chocolate chip cookie. Right. I have monthly boxes that change every month. So we do different flavors, different doughs, different stuffings, different toppings, and they're all very relevant to my life. So like, we'll have like a pecan pie cookie, and that one's called a anxiety pie. And then there was one we had like stuffed with Bounty and then coconut line on the top, and that's a line you can't say no to. And this is all so relevant to just my experiences, and people love that raw honesty. And it's not that like we're so PC. Like, this is my life, this is my business, and I'm going to portray that in what I am preparing, and people love to taste that in the product.
Yeah, and I that was going to be one of the things I pointed out. So again, folks, if you go out to drunkencookie.ie and check out the site, I felt, and I wasn't sure, you know, I wasn't sure if I was correct or not, but I started looking at the different types of cookies and whatnot, and it really does seem to be inspired. It's, I don't want to say edgy cookie, like that sounds so dumb, but is it? Is it accurate? Because I feel like there is an edge to what you're creating, and it's this beautiful imperfection. And I've always said, the way I record a podcast, the way I do a live event, like, I love imperfection. I love organic. I love rough edges. I adore that. And when I looked at the cookies and I looked at just the structure and the texture and all of this, I went, holy shit. Now that I know what I know even more about your story, like, these are a representation of you.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and it's beautiful imperfection is honestly, that's made me really emotional, because like, people see it from the outside and they just see like cookie names and they're like, this girl's crazy, but it's like, there is so much to it. So much to it, and it's just such a big part of my life now, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I had so many people, like, when I started off, like, oh, you can't own a business, like, there's only so far you can get once you name cookies certain things, and like, even the heading, the Drunken Cookie, like, you're immediately stunting your market and all the rest. And I said, I don't give a bollocks. Like,
dude,
I was like, this is me.
Okay, you and I are clearly cut from some similar cloth, because that's been, this is episode 202. People have always borderline needled me. Like, why are you using punk rock imagery? Why aren't you trying to make money? Why aren't you trying to do this? And to you, and I'll borrow bollocks. That's exactly what I said. Like, I really don't give a shit. I had a TV crew here the one day doing an interview with me, and they asked, oh, well, where do you get revenue from? I said, what's that? I don't care. This is art. We focus in mental health on projection being a bad thing, right? That we project on others, and then we get mad but projection can be positive, I think. And projection is, taking my imperfections, putting it on a podcast, you taking yours, putting it on these beautiful cookies. There's a positive way to go about it. And I adore the project front to back. The more I'm coming into it, I knew about it and I looked at it a little bit, but then, that kind of went to the side. But now prepping for the episode, like, I looked and I'm like, these are stunning. That's the other thing too. They're visually stunning. And
they're so over the top, and I'm over the top. You know what I mean? It's really out there.
Projection at its finest. So, looking at these, so I've got to ask you, kind of in line with how the show typically goes, about, like, greatest success and biggest failure cookie-wise. There's got to be one that holds the title of all-time champ, and there's got to be one that you hope never crawls out from under the bed again. So, do you know what you'd pick for each of those?
I know for our greatest success, for sure, we had, this was like, I'd say less than a year ago, we had a white chocolate chip cookie with rainbow sprinkles, with vanilla icing dashed on top, like splashed on top. So visually, picture it how you want, but we called that one a cum slut.
Oh my God.
It was a winner.
That might
Everyone loved it.
Oh my God. That's amazing. That is... but this is the thing, right? You're never going to have, a commercial, chain ever embrace, a controversial name. How much fun is it to just not truly give a fuck when it comes to this?
This is it. And the people see that. Okay, she's a bit wild, but the product is good, and it's just it just makes so much more sense. What else are you gonna got? A rainbow sprinkle cookie, with vanilla icing.
Yeah.
Boo,
yawn.
who's
I've
buying
had that.
that?
I've had that 10 times over, but what I haven't had is this dirty girl of a cookie. Wow, that's amazing. So,
yeah.
But here's the thing. I'm not gonna let you out of naming the biggest flop, because I know you know one. You might even know two.
I don't, nothing in line with the public has been a no-go. However, for me, I remember naming one cookie, Don't Text Your Ex Happy Christmas. And that Christmas, I texted my ex Happy Christmas.
Alright, so by default, I think that gets the title. I think that has to own it. That totally has to own it. Now, I gotta ask you, because I know obviously with a marketing background, being so into it, so tuned in, so smart on it, the cookie industry, and, truly, as I was prepping up for this, I started thinking, I'm like, well, damn, this seems like this craft niche, but really, if you think about it, how many craft cookie makers like yourself, like Famous Amos is a prime name, right? Famous Amos used to be, I believe, this old gentleman of color who crafted them, I want to say, in a garage, maybe? And now it's one of the most distributed cookie lines. So there's always that chance to connect the dots. So obviously, with marketing, with that knowledge, you know this industry. What is the next big thing coming down the line in cookies? Maybe even, dare I say, baking? Maybe generalize it more. For culinary, it's been things like farm to table and stuff like that. Are there trends in the cookie industry? And if so, what are some of the ones we as the public should look for?
Honestly, within baking, that is just too broad for little old me to answer. I could not tell you. But I am afraid that everything comes as a trend, right? So donuts, I don't know about the States, but the donuts were huge in Ireland. Huge. And now there are shops closing, and franchises closing left, right, and centre. Their doors are shutting. Now, I just got the cookies at that forefront just before they got really big. And so now the Drunken Cookie, I feel, is known as a cookie company that they go to us for their cookies. And I think what competitors are trying to do is to kind of do what we're doing, that they add the Biscoff, then they add the Kinder, and then they add the blah blah blah, just to make it better than your average cookie. And then what comes after that, I really feel, and I hate to say this, is the crash of, like donuts did. You get over, you get the top of the bell curve, and then you come back down again. And I feel like where we kind of have that advantage is that we don't just do an Nutella cookie year round. It changes every month, so we kind of before people get bored, we come out with something new.
Familiarity isn't breeding contempt in your brand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. what's next to come? I have no idea. I know, like, people are loving, like, the whole cookie sandwich thing, but I think that's just, like, a whole other thing then.
Yeah.
That's crazy. A cookie and ice cream. Like, that's a big day out. Do you know what I mean?
That
I
is.
want to have
That
products
is a
that you
big
can have
day
any day
out.
of the week.
For sure. Or a late night and regretting
Yeah.
it. So, you know, industry trends aside, you know, talk to me about not just a Drunken Cookie, but Saifa, career-wise, like, well, like what's next? You're clearly chugging along. You're clearly doing big things. You took up stand-up comedy, like, as part of it, which is amazing. What's up and coming for you? Tell us.
So basically, I had to, like, hire a manager for the Drunken Cookie back in January because I went into treatment for my addictions, and this allowed me to have a lot of free time. So the Drunken Cookie is rolling itself. And this has given me, and I'm so grateful that I'm in this position to not only focus on my recovery, but who I am and what I want to do. So, of course, the Drunken Cookie is, like, at the forefront. But for me, I like that I got to do things that I never got to do in active addiction, which would be try stand-up comedy. I'm trying to figure out who I am and what I want for my life. So I'm taking up loads of, like, extracurricular things to see what I like. And once I'm kind of more content in my own skin, I'm going to start working towards, like, making the Drunken Cookie the next Krispy Kreme of Ireland, and maybe even broader down the line in my lifetime.
I love it.
But that's where I really want to be at. But right now I'm focused on my recovery and doing things that Saifa enjoys, because Saifa doesn't really know who she is outside of being a big sesh monster and a big workaholic. So that's me at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you what, this podcast host is a massive fan. So count me in your numbers. Just a miraculous, amazing story, and what a goal. And I'll say, Krispy Kreme, watch your shit, man. She's coming for you. She's coming for you. And by the way, Krispy Kreme, you're overrated. You're overrated. I said it. I don't care for him. There, I said it. However, I could definitely do some damage with Drunken Cookie. So, the amazing future, amazing journey. You know, I'm certainly here for all of it. I want to turn now into the afters, the little bit more irreverent questions, a little bit more off the cuff. Again, no serious bodily injury that we've ever been litigated over. But, you know, who knows? The first time could happen. So, you and I are baking together. You have control of the playlist. What are we listening to?
Drake.
Nice. Nice. I mean, there was no hesitation there.
Yeah, no, definitely Drake would be the passionate from miles away. You know, I fuck with it. That's such a bacon vibe too, right? It's just like, all right, no hype. You know, for me, it's usually like, you know, Beastie Boys or Slayer or Pantera or something. But that's when I'm like breaking down, you know, 10 pounds of ribs or something like that, and it's a knife in the middle. Oh. Baking, I feel, is much more cultured. So Drake it is, and I would definitely go with it for sure. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island, and you can only take 3 foods or food type items with you, inexhaustible supply, but only 3 things can you bring to that island. What would they be? Ooh. Foods. Mm-hmm. Okay, so liquids not counted.
No, they don't have to be.
Okay, so something sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so is it, I'm getting technical, like to survive or things I just like?
Yes. How about that? Yes. A little bit of both.
Yes. Okay, I would say I would take an inexhaustible amount of fruit salad. Is that too diverse?
No, that's cool. Fruit salad's one.
And then I'd say salmon.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Just a good, like, protein and fat combination.
Yeah.
And then I got my carbs. Happy days.
For sure.
And they're both delicious.
Yeah. So fruit salad, salmon. What's your third?
I'm going to go with liquid, even though you told me not to, but Coke Zero.
Oh, I love that. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Represent the Coke Zero. Yes. I'm with you on that. Pepsi is dead to me. Strong choice. That definitely strong. So the inspiration for this podcast came from a famous photographer, Melanie Denea, who did 2 books, My Last Supper and The Next Course. In it, very formulaic interview, very much predictable questions, but different answers all the same. And her books all centered around the last meal of famous chefs. You know, what would your last meal be? And so, Saifa, I ask you, what would your ideal last supper be? Who's there? What's playing? What are you eating? Go.
My last supper would be, for starters, it would be some form of chicken wing.
Love it.
I know, so basic, but
no.
Chicken
See,
wings.
Man, when people get upset about that, I just started lollipopping chicken wings, and I'm here for it like 24/7. It's literally the best ever.
Yeah, chicken wings are bomb. Chicken wings to start. Buffalo, of course. Main would be roast dinner, 100%.
Love it.
And to finish would be a sticky toffee pudding, ice cream, and then a glass of milk. And if I could, you know, if the world was ending, I'd 100% relapse, and I'd be guzzling Prosecco like there's no tomorrow. Who would be there? My whole family, and the fella, and my cats. And yeah, that's it. I'd actually keep it quite small, cozy, comfy. That's all I'd want to be with.
Yep, I agree. I think that's fantastic. Painted the picture. I had the sneaking suspicion that the roast dinner was going to make an appearance there. I just knew. Saifa, final question, the simplest and yet the most complex. What is food to you in a single word?
Comfort.
I love it. No hesitation at all. No flinching. Nothing. Comfort.
No, straight to the point. Yeah.
I love it. And think about how true that is for you. And I think that's a beautiful wrap point for our time together, because look what you made from food, from that darkness. And your story is inspiring. And I truly want to take a moment myself and just say, like, you know, I do this a lot, but damn, you really gave me pause today and appreciation for times, even though they be dark. So I really appreciate it. What a credit to the industry. What a credit to humanity you are. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks so much, man.
Absolutely. Folks, if you want to find Saifa Kajani, you can find her on the Insta. You can find her at thedrunkencookie.ie. Any other spots I'm missing?
We do Twitter as well, Drunken Cookie 97.
Drunken Cookie 97 on Twitter. Oh, sorry, X. I forgot Elon Musk has an identity crisis. You picking up on that, Elon? I'm sure you're listening. So check her out. Again, amazing stuff. Get the subscription box. Please do it, because, you know, I can't be the only one over here sweating and eating cookies myself. So again, Saifa, what an absolute honor. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 202 of the Coarse Grind Podcast, with me, the fantastically talented and amazing Saifa Kajani of The Drunken Cookie, thedrunkencookie.ie. Check her out. Our producer, as always, has been the lovely, voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out all his alt things happening in the 18431. Next episode, we're not even going to bring it back to the States. We're going to go about halfway around the world. Who's it going to be? You're going to have to tune in and listen. Stay tuned. Are you passing through Central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA, has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.